One handicap the anime has in its favor is it knows exactly where the manga is going. With just a few waves of its retcon wand, Bleach can give the illusion that the author had even the slightest clue where the story was going to end up. Today's example comes at the beginning of episode 3 when Rukia gets all deductive reasoning on our Watson asses. She declares that the only reason Hollows would keep attacking Ichigo is if there's some big bad behind the scenes with a kind of personal grudge against a high schooler with a fatal case of resting scowl face. A pretty impressive leap of logic for the same person who, in episode 1, claimed that no one knew why Hollows ate people, and then in the next 5 minutes will expo dump a detailed explanation of their motives and psychologies. Oops. But to be fair, there's this whole thing where pilot episodes need to feel self-contained, so fuck it. Now everyone open up your textbooks and pick up your stabby sticks because we're gonna pull this next scene out of its jar of cotton balls and dissect the shit out of it. By my count, this scene is doing at least 3 important things. The first and most obvious is that Rukia sets up the lowdown on why Hollows gotta be that way. Much like a social drinker with a suspicious number of social friends, Hollows do it to fill the emptiness inside. It's a pretty sad and metal explanation for ghosts, and I'm all here for it. Like those times that DC did a gritty reboot of Batman that wasn't terrible. It was a while ago, you probably don't remember it. The next is just me being a fanboy, but one of my favorite things about Bleach is that the Shinigami powers have less to do with internal logic and more to do with whatever the hell just looks cool at the time. So of course Ichigo can run along power lines like that fantasy we all daydreamed about while riding shotgun in our parents' beat-up car on the way to buy cigarettes. Number 3 is a little more complicated. Not only is it the quintessential show don't tell, but it's a pretty neat example of ironic juxtaposition as well. Stick with me here. While Rukia's narration is heavy and depressing, the visual language is adorable and absurd. It reminds us that Rukia obviously can't leap through the city anymore without her Shinigami powers, so despite her age, wisdom, experience, and mythical nature, she now has to rely on Ichigo giving her a piggyback ride. The manga does this again in a joke panel between chapters where Rukia has to climb a drain pipe to get to the second floor of Orihime's house. It's meta and really neat and really fun, and I unironically like it a lot. So where were we? Oh, that's right, this is a horror anime. And not just any subgenre, oh no, it's every subgenre. It's like someone asked Bleach what kind of horror it wanted to be when it grew up, and it said yes. For those who have been playing along at home, here's the answers to the horror scavenger hunt. Surreal, body horror, supernatural, monster, psychological, macabre, action horror. The anime decides to get a little more, let's say, suggestive than the manga. It's really unnecessary and I don't like it, but it only lasts a second. Because then Orihime snaps out of the existential mindfuck of seeing your own dead body attached to your chest like an anchor and straight up knocks down a Naga to save her friend. Bleach doesn't even make a big deal out of that, so allow me to, that's hardcore AF. There's this really cool moment where Orihime tries to help up Tatsuki, but since Orihime's a ghost, Tatsuki freaks the fuck out when she feels the invisible hand on her arm. It's really subtle and done really well, and you might miss it the first time if some asshole on YouTube doesn't point it out to you. In case you forgot, Ichigo is actually the main character, so he manages to show up only a few minutes after his friend gets killed. In the anime, he goes all toxic masculinity straight away, but in the manga, he goes full defense. The Hollow doesn't attack, and Ichigo secretly hopes it'll just run away so he won't have to kill it. That hesitation is important to his character, and there's no excuse for not having it in the show. In other shit, Orihime can see Ichigo now since she's dead and all, and she doesn't even question why he's cosplaying. Snakey pops back in and bitch slaps our hero out a window like an unstrapped Wii remote, and Ichigo does the coolest goddamn thing I've ever seen. Like, what the fuck? Yes. The manga version of Rukia is a lot less sympathetic, which makes a hell of a lot more sense than how she's depicted in the show. She's meant to be rude and professional, remember? This is supposed to be her job, and not only did Ichigo steal it, but he sucks at it. She's used to the murky moral realities of being a soul reaper, and it's pissing her off that Ichigo wastes so much time being all emotional and shit about simple murder. We get some more backstory from the Hollow, which makes this whole situation at least a couple of Dr. Smiley's sadder. The anime once again files down the interesting edges of the inevitable flashback, which is a little less alternative rock and a little more grindcore in the book. Both show the extreme age difference between the siblings, with the brother raising Orihime himself since the parents were shit, but the manga elaborates on just how shit, giving quite a lot of context to Orihime's tendency to dissociate. Why stop at having a dead brother in middle school when you could add in abusive parents that you had to run away from as a baby? Bleach takes another stab, get it, at going all in on the whole exploration of mental health thing, focusing this time on the Hollow. Bad brother Snake Mask-chan exhibits some pretty obvious signs of obsession and compulsive behavior. He's driven to harm Orihime, he has a deep-seated need to be recognized, and he repeats a single phrase again and again. Interestingly, these behaviors seem to predate his hollification. It looks like being a Hollow doesn't invent madness, but exacerbates any pre-existing conditions. So no, your insurance won't cover that, unless you're watching this from a grown-up country. The therapy session goes over just as we have a breakthrough, and Big Bro gets allergic to the hairpin that Orihime wears. See, it was a gift from him the day he died, just in case you weren't feeling it yet, and no joke, my phone's keyboard popped up a sad face emoticon when I typed that sentence. Classy. Orihime didn't like the hairpin because it was girly, so they had a fight, so he died. It's drama. There's some more fighting outside, and then for the second time in 3 episodes, a girl jumps into a hollow's mouth to save Ichigo. I'm sensing a pattern, and it's a fucking weird one. But now the mood Tokyo drifts into some sappy love conquers all bullshit that breaks the spell of the hollow or whatever the fuck, and is odd because I don't remember it ever happening again for the rest of the show. The brother takes the Shakespearean clusterfuck to its inevitable curtain call by skewering himself alive. Oh, but don't worry, it's a good thing. Probably should have mentioned this earlier, Rukia, but it turns out killing the hollow actually purifies it. Would have saved Ichigo a hell of a lot of anxiety, but you know, whatever. The tag wraps up our loose end in a warm amnesiatic blanket, and we finally get to see the high-tech device that Rukia uses to wipe memories. God damn, I love her. Kinda sucks that Orihime had to forget all that closure though, didn't think about that until now, sorta fucked up. So there you go, if that video felt long for you, just imagine how it felt for me. I'll be back next week with a lower word count and a lot more parakeet. This manga's really good, guys.